Well, here goes the most obvious video I think I've ever made. The Concord open beta has completely failed. It is a full-blown disaster, so bad that Firewalk Studios may not be able to recover from it. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And who didn't see this one coming? I know the closed beta was last week, and the numbers were pretty paltry, pretty pathetic. We're talking, what, like around a peak player of 500 players on Steam, and we don't have Sony's numbers, but still, it's pretty embarrassing for a double/triple A title coming out for $40, and it requires people to be online, and it only had 500 people in the closed beta. We all were looking at the open beta weekend as maybe something that could turn the tides and open some eyes of gamers worldwide to be like, oh, here's a game that's free to play. Let me give it a shot, see if I like it, and if I do, I'll dive into buying it because it's so awesome. And that isn't happening. In fact, quite the opposite is occurring right now, to the point of Sony and Firewalk Studios have a major problem on their hands. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how Concord and the open beta is a complete and utter unmitigated disaster. Sony's latest attempt to break into the live service market with Concord has proven to be nothing short of an utter catastrophe. Set to release on August 23rd, 2024, and not delayed or cancelled as of yet, this hero-based shooter intended to rival heavyweights like Overwatch and Valorant and Apex Legends, but has failed to generate any significant interest whatsoever, with the open beta numbers providing a crystal clear picture of an impending disaster. And for comparison, we're going to look at the numbers here because I feel like it's a very telling picture of exactly why this game is falling flat on its face. Concord originally had its closed beta, which required pre-orders, and the people that pre-ordered it would get some free codes. I think it was 4 free codes for their friends, share it with them, get online, play together in a squad-based shooter, and try to have some fun with this game, 5-on-5, have some fun, play the game, experience it, see if it's worth buying, have your friends hooked on it, and go into it from there. And in reality, what transpired was they had like 500 people playing this thing all-time peak during that closed beta. And people back then, including myself, made videos saying, man, this game is kind of screwed, but it will be interesting to see when it's open beta if that changes very much, because that could open the doorway to more players coming in, seeing that the game is fun and they want to be a part of this and experience it, and it could change the tide for the better. And now we have the numbers for this weekend, and holy crap, this game is dead on arrival. The open beta for Concord is a disaster of epic proportions. On its beta launch weekend, the game has peaked at an abysmal 2,363 players on Steam. And for context, on the closed beta, like I was saying, it was far less than that, but you needed to pre-order the game, and it required extra steps, and it wasn't going to be for everyone. I get that. And even in the best case scenarios where player numbers might triple over the weekend, we're looking at far fewer than 10,000 concurrent players. An embarrassing figure for any game, let alone one aspiring to compete in a crowded hero genre. And as I was previously saying, I looked at this weekend as a potential big moment for it. If they could garner a bare minimum of 10,000 players concurrently, it might open the doorways for more people to jump into this and see, oh, there's a cool game that I want to be a part of and have fun playing it. 10,000, bare minimum, pretty low bar to set for a free-to-play AA title game that people, let's be honest, know about it, are talking about it, have some vague interest in it. 2,363 people. 2,363 people. Not even 2,500, which is not even a quarter of the bare minimum low bar of 10,000 people on this. Remember, free-to-play open beta weekend for everyone. And while these are just Steam numbers, we don't have Sony's numbers because they keep those private. I feel like the Steam numbers are very telling, especially in comparison to other games like the games that Sony have made, like Helldivers 2, and how that was extremely successful. Relative to what's going on with Concord right now, it's a stark contrast. And while we don't have specific numbers for PlayStation, the fact that Concord hasn't appeared on any top 10 games list from Sony speaks volumes. Hell, it barely even cracked the 1,000 most wanted games on Steam ahead of its release. And even if the game is performing slightly better on console, it's still a far cry from what Sony would have hoped for. The fact that this is an open beta and free for everyone to play, and still falling flat on its face trying to attract players is beyond damning. In an era where nearly all competing hero shooters from Apex Legends to Valorant to Overwatch are free to play, charging $40 for Concord is hysterical. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It goes to speak volumes of the people behind this thinking that it was the right decision to make. And yeah, you could look at it like maybe they saw Helldivers 2, they charged $40 for that, and that was a roaring success, and they were trying to replicate that in this genre. But the problem is, Helldivers 2 blazed a new path that was something that didn't exist before, and people gravitated towards it. Whereas Concord is just rehashing exactly what's already happened, transpired multiple times over the years, with far better experiences that have been refined, redone, remade, had better experiences, and oh, by the way, minor detail, they're free to play. And while, yes, I would argue the $40 price point is the biggest issue with Concord, it's not the only one. Despite lots of positive feedback, I mean, I've seen plenty of reviews and early looks at this game saying it's fun, it's above average, some are saying average, but most are saying it's a serviceable shooter. Like, you can have fun with this game, and it's cool, like, it's a good time. But it's not, like, unique, it's not new, it doesn't blaze any new paths, it's very unoriginal. The game fails to stand out in a genre teeming with well-established titles. It's a weirdo hero-based cast which promised engaging story from development, but it's bland and lacks personality. Even with them going over the top with some of these character designs, it just feels so ridiculously DEI-injected diversity, inclusion, representation. I want to see myself and my weirdo fetishes in this game. It feels like they went overboard with it. Like they were just almost making a mockery of it. Yes, I get the pronouns thing in it, but I can look past that if it's a fun game and unique and original. Hey, okay, at the end of the day, I want a fun game to play, and I can look past a lot of these really stupid things that these companies are doing, but even with that being the case, but they couldn't even do that. It feels like they focus too much on everything except the actual gameplay. It feels like they blew their load on cutscenes, the very thing that the vast majority of us skip just to play the game. Cutscenes were cool back in the day, don't get me wrong, especially like Final Fantasy VII on the PS1, mind-blowing, and I'm sure, yes, there's been more games with more cutscenes, and it's fun and serviceable and great, but I don't spend money on a game to watch a movie, especially when it's a squad-based team versus shooter. Like, I want to actually play that hero shooter. I don't want to watch videos. If I did, I'd just load up YouTube and watch them. I feel like that's a major misstep for them to put so much effort into these cutscenes, thinking that that's what the gamers actually wanted out of this. It's unclear what Sony's expectations were for Concord, but it's safe to say it was probably better than what this is. The game was designed to be a traditional multiplayer experience with seasonal updates and new hero introductions, but seeing as it's already failed to distinguish itself from existing titans in the genre, it's doomed for obscurity. The dismal beta turnout for the game that is $40, by the way, I can't stress that enough here. It's proving that there's no significant interest, and the future outlook for this game looks extremely grim. What is Sony gonna do? Make it free to play and then piss off the entire player base that pre-ordered this game in the first place and slapping them in the face saying, hey, sorry guys, we need to make it free to play so that you can actually have people to play with because nobody bought it when we were charging money. I mean, Sony has put themselves between a rock and a hard place with this move of just being greedy, charging $40 for something that I could have told them from jump, no, do not do this. Make it free to play. Pay for cosmetics. Have them be able to put a tattoo that says all men are enemies on them. Like, whatever you want to do with your game, have at it. But don't charge $40 for it. Which brings me to who is playing this game? Who are the people? Like, I'm sure there's a few outliers that are just generic gamers that are testing out a game that's free. Like, sure, it's free. Why would you not? But the vast majority of the people that make up this player base currently of 2,300 or so people has me very curious. In fact, when I was on Twitter, I saw someone who was talking about how they couldn't decide whether they wanted to play Concord or Flintlock, and I found it curious. So I looked into what they were tweeting about, because I'm like, who is the type of person that wants to play this game and is excited about it and wants more of it? Like, very, very interesting psyche. And I found Sweaty Flops on Twitter, who said, looking forward to checking this one out. Trying to decide if I should play more Flintlock or jump into this one today. Concord beta is my shit right now, though, so I might just play that all weekend since the beta ends Sunday. Fair enough. Like, that seems like a very safe and straightforward take of someone just generally enjoying two games that seem to be very filled with DEI, but whatever, we'll look past that. Seems normal enough. Sweaty Flops also tweeted, super fun game, and these characters are incredibly detailed and features some very good animations, including some of the better facial animation I've seen. Okay, that seems a little robotic, like maybe this is a bot on Twitter to say that. It's not really how someone talks, but I don't know this person. Maybe it is. Whatever, again, fair enough, but they continued. I have very much enjoyed my time with it. Haven't played as much as I'd like, but it's super fun, and the team synergy feels great. Again, feels like someone who is genuinely enjoying their experience with Concord, and that's great. I was wondering who the type of people were that played this game. Sweaty Flops on Twitter. Satan protected his favorite soldier. Trump is the Antichrist, and the only reason God allows him to exist is because God created Satan, and the end of times is preordained. The signs are right in front of us. Okay, so I think I've found the modern audience. I guess if that's what Firewalk Studios and Sony were aiming for, they have hit their target. Dead on. But seriously, where do they go from here? Concord's open beta has revealed a game that is likely to bomb spectacularly upon full release, with shockingly low player numbers, out-of-touch pricing model, generic gameplay. Sony's latest live service shooter is on track to be a monumental failure, and they have no one to blame but themselves. Like this, you could see this from a mile away. You can see it from 10 miles away. Telegraph. This was so obvious that it was going to flop. I don't know why they're surprised. It makes me wonder if there's more going on behind the scenes. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you enjoy what I'm doing, please consider hitting that join button. You stay smashing.
What? Most people never get what they want. Set your expectations low.
Smash it, Smash it,